brainstorm.
Today's episode is brought to you by Amtrak, which begins its new Mardi Gras service line on August 18th. The twice-daily train will connect Mobile, Alabama, and New Orleans, with stops along the way in Pascagoula, Biloxi, Gulfport, and Bay St. Louis. All aboard. Your next adventure is just an Amtrak away. Dr. Geller, we're back.
Colonel Troyer, it's been a while. We are back for episode 10.
And can I just say I'm giddy? I'm just giddy because it's your week and I get to sit back and there's some brand new crime I've never heard about.
Gonna be good.
We're going to dig into it. We're going to get every last detail.
It's going to be a good one. Objectively, I'm saying that. But it is season 4 of KMA, the Killer Means Awesome podcast. This season is Killer Crime, True Crime. And this is episode 10. I can't believe we're at 10. Any housekeeping?
Yeah, we do have a little bit of housekeeping.
Okay.
Several of our listeners got back to us last week, and they pointed out that we were a little confused with our Leafs last week.
Correct.
We were mixing up Leif Erikson and Leif Garrett. Leif Erikson being the Norse explorer from 1,000 years ago, Leif Garrett being the teen heartthrob from the 1970s in America.
Two very different people. Yeah.
Two totally different people, but they both were named Leif.
Which is rare. I mean,
Yeah. Here's the good news, though. That means that multiple people are listening to our show.
I was going to say several implies we got more than a couple.
Well, and you got to figure several's just a fraction of the total, the people.
Well, okay, let's not assume.
Okay, good point. Okay, do you know the hit single that Leif Garrett was known for in 1978?
I do not. I know he was known for his feathered hair. I didn't know there was a song also attributed to Leif.
He had fantastic hair.
Covet that hair.
Yeah. The song was I Was Made for Dancing. And that went to number 10. I think it went to number 10 on the Hot 100, Billboard's Hot 100 in the U.S. So Good for Leif.
Did he go on to just fortune and fame?
All downhill. Lots of drug problems, lots of run-ins with the law, some bankruptcies. But he was saved by reality TV that gave him a way to sort of get back into the game. And he's still alive,
Incredible. And what about Leif Erikson? What's his claim to fame after discovering America but not getting credit for it?
He never got a single song on the Hot 100 Billboard list. He did, allegedly, he's the first European explorer ever to reach North America.
See, I think that's incredible. I should know this. How do I not know that?
Yeah, they weren't teaching it when we were in elementary school. But it turns out it looks like he and some of his Norse crewmates got to Newfoundland and set up a settlement there that, lasted for a while. And there's still some mounds and ruins and stuff that they believe date from 1,000 years ago.
Mounds? A mound from 1,000 years ago?
Not the candy bar.
Been trampled? It's never been trampled or rained?
It's like, I think it's the
remnant. That mound looks really old. How do you measure the tomb
I think
of a
it's
mound?
like...
It's such a specific, weird thing to say.
I think it was like the remnants of the longhouse. Didn't they have longhouses?
You just said mound. So I'm just going by what you said. If you want to attach other properties to what was...
Dude, there are some incredible mounds in North America. And I'm not suggesting that next season be killer mounds, but it could be.
Right. Yeah, I do feel like I've seen something somewhere where it talks about some famous area of mounds. And I don't know if it was a Native American burial ground or like somewhere where mounds somehow came into play.
They're all over. I think it's like Ohio, maybe, where they have the ones that were, if you see them from planes or helicopters, they're in the shape of animals and stuff.
It's Ohio. Yes, it's those mounds in Ohio.
There's that. And then down in Mississippi is where there was once upon a time, like the biggest city in North America, or rather in all the Americas. There's something called Cahokia or Cahoga or something like that. Some Native American city that was massive, and there's still mounds left over. There's mounds everywhere.
Yeah, okay. I take it back.
Listen, we've straightened out the leaf mix-up.
Yes,
And
thank goodness.
now we transition into the part where you say, like, 3 cool places people listened from last week.
Yeah, so the last episode, we had listeners from really all over the world, not making that up, starting with Hamilton, Waikato region. That is on the central part of the North Island of New Zealand.
Central part of the North Island of New Zealand.
120 kilometers south of Auckland. Probably heard of Auckland.
What are the odds, do you think, that we're pronouncing Waikato correctly?
I would say the odds are incredibly high because I did Google the pronunciation of Waikato. And I know I'm saying it correctly. So, yes, thank you for noticing, though, by the way.
Okay, welcome to the Kiwis or Kiwi who tuned in.
Please let us know how you found the show. Killer means awesome, all one long word, at gmail.com. Killer means awesome at gmail.com. Let us know where you're listening from or how you found the show. Next up, Coventry, Rhode Island. That's in Kent County. That's Rhode Island.
No way. That's in Kent County?
Well, I mean, I'm just giving you some specifics geographically so you can picture it in your mind.
Yeah.
Finally, let's go south. Let's go to Davidson, North Carolina, suburb of Charlotte. Listener from Davidson. Pretty nice.
Yeah, really nice. I bet it's nice down there now. I bet fall is nice, down there. I've always wanted to see the western part of that state, and it's on my list.
Yeah, beautiful state, mountains, coastline. Town was named after Brigadier General William Lee Davidson. He was a Revolutionary War hero. So that's kind of cool.
We thank him for his service. Okay, I can't stand the suspense. Let's get into it. We got a true crime. You're going to tell me about it. I have a sneaking suspicion I know the genre because you have a favorite genre of crime.
Yeah. Today's episode is just going to blow your mind. It's crazy. So let's go back. I'm going to set the stage, tease the episode, if you will. It's 1875. Okay, 150 years have transpired, but let's go back. 1875. Can you picture it?
Yeah. Well, where are we?
We are in New York City.
Okay, now I can picture
Hustle, bustle, even in 1875. We have a man in expensive tailored suit. He has a pearl tie pin. Okay, that's a specific item I remember being referenced in some of the research materials, i.e. Wikipedia. As he steps out of a hansom cab, did not say handsome, named after the guy who invented that horse-drawn carriage. He's on Fifth Avenue, and he's going to a high society dinner party with his friends Jay Gould, railroad baron, and corrupt politicians like Boss Tweed. He was friends with all of the high society people. He was George Leslie. He was looking good.
Interested in that pearl tie pin. I thought you were going to say a pearl-handled pistol, but okay, it's a tie pin.
He was nonviolent, but very charming, well-educated. He was an architect and he knew a lot about fine art. And so he fit in very well.
Wait, this is our bank robber?
I'm telling you, this is sort of like in that genre of the Steve McQueen where it's like, Thomas Crown is like someone who's good at a lot of things. But in any case...
Well, it also sounds like he's got plenty of money already.
Well, he's pretty successful, but again, he has this other life outside of his architectural interests. So all of these people don't know that he's in New York, and for 3 years, he's been obsessing over the Manhattan Savings Institution. Ooh. At the time, it was the largest, most formidable bank in New York City. All of the wealthiest families in America kept their fortunes with Manhattan Savings Institution.
Yeah, so he's why mess around with the little stuff? Go big or go home.
Well, he may have already practiced on the little stuff. You don't know that yet. What I will say is that he knows that what he's planning is unprecedented. It would dwarf every bank robbery in American history. It would be the most audacious robbery. And in his mind, it would cement his reputation forever.
He doesn't have a reputation for it yet.
No one knows what he's doing. But amongst his band of criminals, he would be probably very well known.
Yeah.
So he's living this crazy double life. By day, respected architect, society darling. By night, criminal mastermind who would orchestrate 80% of all bank robberies in America during his career.
Now, is that because nobody was doing it yet? Or did he
No,
actually
people
do a
were.
whole bunch of them?
People were doing it routinely. And when you hear how he did it and all of that, you'll start to understand why he had such success. The people who have written books about him refer to him as the king of bank robbers. So now let's go back to where the story begins, which is when George was born in 1842 in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, and you taught me recently how to spell that, so I have that. It is weird. I think it's the third time this season that Cincinnati has come up in an episode.
Yes, we are very focused on Cincinnati this year.
I don't know what's going on there, that they're producing all these criminals, but all right, 1842, brand new. He's a baby.
1842, but it's not a Wild West frontier town. George is part of a wealthy family. His father owns a very successful brewery. And when the Civil War broke out, Leslie's father paid $300, equivalent to about $10,000 today, to buy his son out of military service.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
cool.
So he had friends dying in the trenches. He was studying architecture at the University of Cincinnati.
Now, do you think people back then were keeping track of that stuff? Like some of his friends were like, "What the hell, dude?"
Yeah, I would
Like we're
think
down
so.
here in the POW camp in Andersonville, and you're like studying Grecian architecture at.
He graduates with high honors, and he opens a very successful architectural firm. Like, so he's doing his craft in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Late 1860s, so a few years after the Civil War, his parents both passed away. When he lost his parents, that would, in reality, reshape American crime and history, because he sold everything he had in Cincinnati and he moved to New York City. But when his friends in Cincinnati asked him why he was moving to New York City, he gave an answer that could, in fact, be a throwback to a previous episode. He said he wanted easy money.
Ooh.
So sort of like, isn't that what Garrett said? Like he wanted fast money or something?
Yeah, he said he wanted to make a lot of money fast. That's
Mhm.
it's never a good sign. That's always then you know what kind of story it's going to be when a guy's saying he wants either easy money or a lot of money fast, that it's he's going to be, doing something illegal.
Yeah, he wasn't referring to the Rodney Dangerfield movie. He was saying he wanted easy money, like, not have to work hard for it. So anyways, when he moves to New York, he checks into the Fifth Avenue Hotel. That's exactly where Cornelius Vanderbilt entertained President Grant. I mean, this is high society.
Yeah, I bet it was swank.
It was really nice. And he's a networker. But what they didn't realize, all these people, was that he was also casing them. He was learning their habits. He was learning about their businesses. And most importantly, learning about their banks. That's what he was most interested in, the banks. Because George always had focused on bank robbery. That was what he wanted to do. Right? Some people want to be baseball players, whatever. George wanted to be a bank robber, but he did not want to do it the way bank robberies had been done up until that point, which, as mentioned earlier, were happening all over the country, but they were typically happening with dynamite. And I think you did an episode about dynamite that people should listen to. And wasn't there a bank involved in that? Wells Fargo, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
In San Francisco.
Good callback. I was thinking that it was going to be some hopelessly quaint, like, handing somebody an embossed, envelope, like, please, if you will.
No, they were usually done either violently, like stick-ups, like, people busting in with guns and people getting killed, or they were done with very crude explosives. So it was very chaotic. A lot of the bank robberies resulted in just everything being destroyed. Like there was nothing left. Like the money wasn't there. Everything got burned. Like it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like the scene in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid when they stop a train and then they just like use way too much dynamite. By the way, R.I.P. Robert Redford. That's
so sad. Yeah, what a great actor. Oh, so many great movies. We can't go down that rabbit hole, but I mean, phenomenal.
Okay, but so he doesn't want any part of the explosives?
Right. So he's a very refined person. So he decided that there was a far more elegant way to rob banks. He'd become a customer. So he would walk into a Target bank and he would make substantial deposits because he had money, thousands of dollars at that point, which, instantly made him a valued client.
Mm-hmm.
It also gave him legitimate reasons to return to the bank frequently, right? He's a business guy. He's got a lot of money in the bank. So every time he would go to the bank, he would look at it like an architect. And so he would talk with different tellers and talk about his business interests, but his eyes were mapping every detail of the building. He would count his steps from the entrance of the building to the teller windows. He would measure all the distances around the room. He would note direction from where the vault was based on the sounds that he would hear. And so he really started to understand these buildings. He knew how thick the walls were based on the acoustics. Like, he was noting everything.
Yeah, I was going to say architecture, would have its applications to studying a bank, Yeah.
And he was very good at memorizing the exact placement of furniture, the height of the counters, and the type of flooring that might creak underfoot. So when I say attention to detail, he was taking notes on everything.
Sounds like he was also taking notes on a bunch of stuff that actually wasn't relevant. Okay, so there's 2 chairs over there and there's a sofa over there. Like, who cares?
Well, I think some of it was more about just his personal interest. Like, what kind of wood is that table? Oh, beautiful oak veneer, So some of his notes obviously strayed from the mission at hand.
But it does give you an excuse to start talking about some of that stuff to the people who work there if you're a famous architect or you're a successful architect anyway.
Or you just have a lot of money in the bank and they want to make you happy. Okay. So, he's there all the time. He's noticing when guards change shifts. He's noticing which employees have access to which areas, all the daily routines of the cleaning staff. I mean, he's becoming an expert, obviously, in the bank because he's there almost every week.
But this is not yet the Manhattan Savings Institute.
It is not. This is his warm-up. This is when he's just getting into this.
Minor leagues.
These are minor leagues, but these are still real banks, like in New York. And he is very novice when it comes to knowing what else to do. Like, yes, you can, recreate in your mind or draw out the architectural plans of the building, but how do you break it into the vault? That type of thing. Okay, so being sort of an inventor, he creates a device, and the device is called, quote, the Little Joker. He makes the Little Joker, which is a small tin wheel with metal wire. And what he would do is he would slip the safe's dial, the numeric dial, off of the safe and put the Little Joker behind it, and then put the dial back on. So when the employees were opening the vault, the device would get etched with marks showing the exact combination numbers.
When in the world does he get a free moment unobserved to slip the wheel off the front of the vault? Like, already somebody's asleep at the switch.
It's a great question. And I will tell you, he breaks into the bank at night.
Oh,
yeah.
Smart.
So it gets even crazier. So he develops this little joker that, as you mentioned, it requires the Joker being installed and then it sitting there for a day or two and then breaking back in. Yeah. So of course he had to get inside first.
And the Little Joker worked. It wasn't just one of these things he dreamed up and then he's like, oh, this didn't work at all.
It worked.
It actually,
yes.
Crazy.
Yeah, because part of what George also did is practice. So he would buy safes. So he had all these great ideas and he needed a team. This could not be just George. So he, through his society connections, meets a woman who becomes very influential in his life. And her name is Marm Mandelbaum.
Tough name. Okay, Marm Mandelbaum.
Marm Mandelbaum, who also sort of moves in these very high society circles. So she's very wealthy. And she's known for owning a lot of warehouses. But she also is known as the biggest fence in New York. So she is deeply connected to the underworld.
Wait, what's with these rich people who are doing gangster stuff?
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
So Marm was a fence.
Yeah, Marm was known as the biggest fence in New York amongst the, big time criminals, but also friends with a lot of, very wealthy people because of her real estate baroness profile. She decides to team up with George and give him access to her warehouses in Brooklyn, in which George constructs exact full-scale replicas of his target banks.
Man, I feel like I've heard this one before.
Yeah, exactly.
So she knows what he's up to.
She supports it. She interviews people to work with him. She's fully on board. Okay, because she's so connected in this area. So
Incredible.
George, as part of his reconnaissance, would determine what type of vault was in the bank. He would purchase a similar model or get something that approximated the same challenge, and he would just put it in the warehouse and start experimenting with the lock, and would just go through all of these different ways of figuring out how to, get into the vault. And he would create these sets. So the sets not only, showed the bank layout, but he would get the same furniture. He would even add the same decorative elements. And they would rehearse at night. They would rehearse in the dark. They would rehearse not making noise, without bumping into things. So he had a team with him of about 4 or 5 people that he met through MARM. And that was the crew that was going to rob these banks.
Well, you really increase your chances of getting caught once you get
When
all
there's
these
more
different people. Yeah.
It could raise a lot of trouble. But it was still a revolutionary way for how to, pull off a heist. And in fact, they do credit George in these different books with being the sort of original Ocean's 11 or Italian job. Like it all traces back, as you said, like you've seen this before, to George. He was the first one to create these exact replicas and do this elaborate, theatrical way of preparing.
And when he's doing that, where he's building the replica, has he robbed a single bank yet or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. So this is his first.
Yeah. So the first bank was, the target was the Ocean National Bank. And this was 1869. So, not long after he moved to New York. Okay. So 1869, Ocean National Bank, George deposits some money and becomes a customer. He actually becomes friends with the bank president such that he's able to get one of his gang members hired at the bank as a cleaner. So he gets all these ways of getting into the bank. Sometimes you break in, sometimes you have someone on the inside. So in this case, he had someone on the inside. He installed the little joker, and the little joker worked. And so he was able to get into the vault and or open that safe. And then they had various tools that they brought with them based on these vaults that they would purchase and practice on. So they knew how to pry certain ones open, and they knew the weak spots because they had already rehearsed this. So they were able, with their tools, to get into all of the safes and the vaults in the bank, and they made off with $768,000. That's the equivalent of $27 million today.
Okay, so that's a good haul.
That's a good haul. And the police could not figure out how this was done. And the New York Herald at the time called it, quote, a masterful bank job. The New York Times said it was, quote, a thing never heard of before.
Did the New York Herald have a bank robbery reviewer? Like, it sounds like this guy is bringing a masterful example of something,
Well, it's a very gentleman way of talking about a heinous crime.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as heinous.
No, it wasn't.
It was ingenious.
And so they did get that recognition. So George goes on a bit of a spree, and he starts targeting banks all over the place. So he's in Maine, all over the East Coast. So between 18, he's even down in Baltimore. He robbed a bank in Baltimore.
And he does have the benefit of doing it back then. So there's, internet, there's no FBI, there's no, people aren't like putting 2 and 2 together in the way that they would now.
Yeah, no surveillance cameras.
Well, just today you'd be like, okay, what are the odds? There's one guy who has an account at 14 different banks that have been robbed.
Exactly. They're not interconnected. No one has any idea. Yeah, crazy. So anyway,
he goes up to Maine. He robs one there.
Yeah, he robs a bank in Maine.
And is he always using the same crew?
Yes, same crew.
Oh,
between 1869 and 1873, he robbed 9 banks and made off with $1.5 million, equal to $36 million.
Wow!
So he's made like $50 million. He's making a lot of money.
And he's 9-0. So he hasn't got caught at any of these. He hasn't failed to get into any. He's got a perfect record so far.
He does, and he's very proud of his obsession with all of the details. Very theatrical. That he wanted to protect everyone in the gang. So, for example, in that robbery in Maine, it was in Dexter, Maine. He equipped his crew with elaborate disguises. Now, this is where it gets really funny. he stole the disguises from the New York Opera House. So the gang arrived in town, but he had them arrive separately on different days, staying in different hotels and acting as if they'd never seen each other before.
And they're wearing these crazy costumes from the
Well, they were wearing more like, wigs, fake beards,
Gotcha.
and makeup.
Okay. All right.
Not like Marriage of Figaro stuff.
Yeah.
So if anyone happened to see them on the street, even though they were very careful about that, they wouldn't be recognized. This theatrical flair that he had, really made them sort of feel like a wandering troupe. Like they were like a wandering performance group, because they kept going from state to state and robbing banks. But they would always combine the stagecraft, the architecture, all of this stuff. It was incredible.
And are they still using some of the same methods, like using the little joker?
Yes.
And of course, they probably aren't able to place an employee in all these banks.
No, but they are able to bribe and get some people on board along the way. But yes, very rarely. They don't need to. Like, they know what they're doing. Again, George is very good at finding the weak spots to get into the bank. Alarm systems, if they had them, were super crude. Like, you could just snip a wire and they're done.
Right.
So it wasn't like you needed a sophisticated, alarm expert.
Yeah, I wonder generally, what the clearance rate was for the authorities solving bank robberies in general back then.
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably not great.
Okay, so they've done 9 successfully. They've earned 1.5 million, and I assume he's told everybody, "Hey, don't go running around town buying a bunch of stuff. Play it cool." And everybody's on the same team. Usually, when you got a crew, though, there's like at least one who's got a drinking problem, or he's got.
No, these guys were super buttoned up.
Okay.
And George is living large. Like, let's not, and that's why it's a little mysterious where he's getting his money, but he's an architect. While he's, engaging in these crime sprees, he's also like maintaining a double life. He gets married in Philadelphia, and he tells his wife he's an IRS detective. But yet they move into a $100,000 house, which would be like a $2 or $3 million house. They have a grand piano. They have a library. They have croquet grounds.
I mean, he's starting to sound like a pathological liar. I mean, so he's lying to his wife about what he does. Like, why not just stick with the architect idea?
Yeah, I don't know. And then he started, because of his expertise and becoming so well known in the underworld, he started consulting for other gangs that were robbing banks. So he would review their plans and give them advice.
Wow.
Guess how much they were paying him for that?
10% of whatever they get?
No, each consulting gig was $20,000, which would be like $500,000 today.
How is he staying off the radar how is he not getting caught?
I don't know. But what I will do is tell you about the unraveling of this whole operation, which we know is coming on the other side of our commercial break.
Sounds good. Did you know that Amtrak serves more than 30 million passengers every year? That's right. Amtrak has been America's premier passenger rail line since opening for business in 1971. Next month, Amtrak adds its twice-daily Mardi Gras service line connecting Mobile, Alabama and New Orleans, providing an affordable, scenic travel option for exploring the Gulf Coast. Free Wi-Fi, no middle seats, cafe dining with locally sourced menu options. Amtrak, wherever you're headed, it's just an Amtrak way. When we left off, they're on a winning streak. They're 9-0. They've earned $1.5 million. Feels like there's some hubris. This thing where he's also charging people $20,000 just to come run their plan by him and get his advice. So how does it all start to unravel?
His masterpiece was this Manhattan Savings Institution.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's 3 years in the making. He can afford to wait 3 years to rob a bank, but for him, it's all about the planning.
Yeah.
So in this instance, he was also able to get a friend of his hired, or one of the crew members hired as a guard. But still, he constructed a perfect replica. And once they had constructed the replica, they spent months and months rehearsing.
I bet he was a taskmaster. So the whole group's like, George,
There
like,
we go
we've
again.
got it. We've got it. He's like, nope. You took 8 steps instead of 9 as you crossed the room.
I heard that floor creak. I told you to watch out for that spot. There's a dead spot at step 7.
Is there any sense at this point, any whispers at all about, the authorities are starting to figure it out,
No,
or he's
nothing.
feeling heat in any respect?
0. And that's why, as you said, he has this hubris, like he is untouchable. Like he's pulling these things off without a problem.
Pride goes before the fall. So
there you go.
let's get to it.
Yeah. So as you're sort of alluding to, he is not a great guy. He's kind of lying to people. And wouldn't you know it, he had a secret plan for the Manhattan Savings Institution robbery in which he was going to work with another gang and double cross the team.
No.
Yes, he was going to pull off his final heist with a different crew, and then he was going to disappear forever, and no one would ever see him again. That was his plan. Yes.
What? Why switch crews? Did he and so he married the wife? Did they have kids yet or no?
No.
Okay. He probably wouldn't have been a great father, honestly.
I would guess not. But I mean, he might be that kind of dad where it's like you just get anything you want, which could be fun for a while.
Until he has to disappear forever.
Unsurprisingly, members of his crew are starting to get a little resentful of George. And again, probably for exactly what you're referencing, which is...
Well, are they aware that he's got a new big job? Oh, okay.
But they are growing resentful. In particular, Shane Draper is one of the members of the crew.
Oh, Shane.
Now, Shane had an issue with George. And he, first of all, didn't like the fact that George took 50% of every haul for himself.
He's taken 50%, and that's still not good enough. He's going to change crews because he wants more than 50%.
Yes, 50%. But he is, building, he's doing all the work. But in any case, Draper also had a feeling that Leslie was having an affair with his wife.
Oh,
his wife, Babe.
He did.
He had a wife named Babe. Yep.
Does history tell us whether his feeling was well founded and there was indeed an affair, or it was just a figment of the guy's imagination?
Well, let me tell you, he spoke to one of the shopkeepers that lives near George, and the shopkeeper told Draper that he saw Babe kissing a handsome gentleman.
Oh gosh!
And that the handsome gentleman had a pearl tie pin.
Oh man!
It was the pearl tie pin.
The vanity. His favorite little piece of ornamentation does him in.
Yes. So Shang knows that this affair is going on. On May 29th, 1878, George is at Murphy's Saloon, which is his, one of his watering holes, and someone hands him an envelope. Inside is a note from Babe saying that Shang discovered their affair and that Leslie needed to meet her immediately. She was telling George to come meet her because Shang found out.
Okay, now, first of all, the husband's name is Shane or Shang?
It's Shang. And I'm pretty sure it was a nickname.
Okay, so he's not Asian American or some other country or something like that?
No. His last name is Draper.
Related to Chris Draper?
Nope.
Probably not.
Or what was the Draper on Mad Men? Wasn't that his name, Draper?
Don
Draper.
Yeah. Never saw Mad Men. People say it's one of the best shows.
You should watch it. It's great.
Do you think that note is really written by Babe, or is it a fake?
Let's find out. So George tears up the note and runs out to get a cab. And that was the last time anyone saw George.
Wait, whatever happened to the Manhattan Savings Institution?
I'm going to tell you. The pod's not over. George is over. So 6 days later, George's decomposing body was found in, I think, the Bronx, or on Tramps Rock, they call it. Now, here's what's interesting. He was shot twice, once in the head, once in the heart. The murder weapon was the pistol that he had given Babe to protect herself from Shang. So I think we know what happened here. However, no bloodstains, clothing meticulously arranged.
So he really was killed. I thought you were going to say that he got a dead body and dressed it up in his clothes, or there's some subterfuge.
It's pretty obvious that Draper killed him. 5 months after George disappears, despite, the mastermind's death, the gang, the original gang, carried out his plan. They used his blueprints. They continued the rehearsals that he was orchestrating.
Wait, this is the original gang, or this is the second gang that he got
Not the second
together?
gang. The second gang never made it happen.
And the first gang was aware that one day he wanted to knock off the Manhattan Savings Institution?
The first gang?
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually broke into that bank several times
Ah,
as part of their practice. And in fact, they broke into it once, and George said, "Oh, well, we shouldn't take the money now because there's going to be more deposits in the spring or whatever," because of
dude.
the fact that he wanted to get his other gang orchestrated. Like, that's how
Greed.
sinister he was.
Greedy.
So, in any case, the original gang does break into the Manhattan Savings Institution. It is successful, and they make off with $2.7 million, which is the
Wow.
equivalent of $81 million today.
Dude.
To date, that is still the largest bank robbery in American history.
So how long after his death did they pull it off?
5 months.
And I assume that the murderer, Shang, is one of the people who helped pull it off.
Correct. There was a massive investigation when this bank heist was discovered. As you can imagine, this is where the wealthiest people bank. So this was a massive undertaking, and they obviously were able to track down every gang member one by one.
Oh, shoot. Really? So they didn't get away with this one?
People started turning on each other.
See, that's why I was surprised he could get 9 done with that crew. Because it seems
Yes.
like I said, with a crew, it's like,
Especially when you're ripping them off and sleeping with their wives.
yeah, somebody's going to go sideways even before you sleep with their wives. Okay. So they catch all of them?
They catch all of them, and they recover most of the money. They said only $15,000 ultimately was never found. George had a funeral, which perfectly symbolized his double life, because attending the funeral were crime lords, police detectives, the wealthiest New York financiers. Like, he had a diverse set of friends, and they still showed up.
Did his friends from the straight world know by now that he was also a bank robber?
No one knew. He was buried in a $10 pauper's grave.
And I feel like I've buried some family members. I feel like they don't even offer that option. And now they call that the pauper option.
That was the pauper option. It was $10.
Well, the cedar casket is very handsome. I'll grant you. Do you offer any kind of like a pauper
For
casket?
a pitched roof on the coffin top. I'm an architect, so I know that I'll have better airflow for eternity.
Why in the world does Mr. Rich Fancy Pants, successful bank robber, wind up in the $10 pauper's grave?
Unclear. And the research didn't go that deep.
Was he still married at that point, by the
He
way?
was. Yeah. Although unclear if his wife even knew, because he was under a different name.
Jesus.
So anyways, in his 9-year career as a bank robber, he was allegedly involved in 100 bank robberies.
What?
Yes.
You told me about 9 of them.
No, those were the ones that he directly did in that one, several year time period. It wasn't his entire career.
Oh.
In all, he stole $7 million, which would be over $200 million today.
Hold on, wait, back up. He did 100 bank robberies?
He was involved. Again, he was a consultant. He was,
I see.
He did a lot of robberies, but he also consulted on a lot.
And he pulled down $7 million.
$200 million today.
Wow.
Yeah. But what he's really known for is this, revolutionizing the way in which the bank heists were carried out. The planning, the technological innovation of the Joker, this was incredibly meticulously planned and executed.
I still prefer Ted from 2 episodes ago, but let me ask you this. When do people start putting together who he was, what he was really responsible for? Like, how soon after his death does all this start to come out?
Very soon after they capture the gang members, because they have been with him forever. So they're getting the full story from the 5 or 6 people that were involved. Yeah. And that's how you learn about everything.
Man, the tabloid media must have gone crazy with that.
Insane.
You know what I mean? It reminds me of the what is the song? There's a cool Simon and Garfunkel song where it's like the really rich guy that everybody envies, and he's got like a diamond, whatever, and then he goes home and he puts a bullet in his brain.
Yeah,
that's a good song.
Yeah.
One of our listeners will tell us what it is, and we'll break it down next week. But this guy from the outside looks like, he's got it all. He wears tuxedos. He's got the pearl tie pin. He rubs shoulders with Jay Gould.
I'm guessing a pocket watch, like with the chain.
100%.
Yes,
the fob, the
many
chain.
of them. Yeah,
absolutely. He's got a cigar cutter.
Yeah,
this guy knew his way around a cigar.
Yeah.
And what do you call the glass for brandy?
Like a
It's
sniffer or something?
sniffer or sifter or
Sifter?
snifter.
Yeah,
Or
snifter. I think it's a sniffer.
sw-
I think you sniff the sifter, or snifter. But what is interesting about George, and you've mentioned this a few times, is that although he was not dangerous, like there was no violence associated with any of the crimes, although actually that's not true. There were a couple of deaths on a couple of the bank robberies early
What?
on, which I didn't get into. Yeah, but that's not George that killed anybody, but a couple people did. Yeah.
How did that happen? Somebody was shot?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they weren't
dude.
as careful like at first, with the guards and stuff. We won't dwell on that, but what's crazy is although he wasn't violent and there weren't a lot of of deaths, he was a terrible person. Like he was a really like duplicitous bad guy. Like as you mentioned, like he's cheating and lying to everybody.
Yeah, I wonder if when he made up the lie to his wife about being an IRS detective, maybe she was like, wait, somebody said they saw you at the bank in Pennsylvania. Like I could imagine where he's saying why he has to travel, for instance.
That's
or,
right.
I don't know.
That was probably his cover. The attribute the phrase "the perfect crime" to George Leslie, because that's how people wrote about the bank heist. Like it was perfect. It was the perfect crime.
Well, totally wasn't. Ted 2 weeks ago, that was perfect.
That was perfect. I mean, stealing $200 million is, and having no one know at the time, that's pretty crazy too.
Do you think that guy Shang got charged with the murder?
No, I know for a fact he did not. They did not have enough evidence to charge him, although everyone was suspicious, but they had no way to prove it. And they think Babe was in on it. That she was forced to write the note, and so it was written by Babe.
George Leslie.
Yeah. Insane. But I mean, imagine all of those that's a lot of bank robberies.
Did they ever turn it into a movie or a book or anything?
Yeah, so I think it was optioned as a movie. I don't think with Ethan Hawke, or someone well known, but it never got made.
It's a great part because you get to wear the tuxedos and stuff like that, but then you also get to be,
wear the opera costumes,
criminal, yeah. And then you'll also come up. I'd love to see what the little Joker looked like, the little contraption he came up with.
Yeah, that's cool. And then they don't have any photos of George, but they have, I think, a picture of Shang or. I've found some pictures, but anyways, the best book about George's life is called The King of Heists. And it's by J. North Conway. Kind of funny because we just talked about Ted Conway.
I looked it up. Ted Conrad.
Oh, is it Ted Conrad? Why did we get Ted Conway?
And to me, Ted is still the perfect crime, but go ahead.
Yes, fantastic. But the biographer J. North Conway wrote a book called The King of Heists, which really goes into detail and is incredible. His life story is pretty wild.
That's insane. You have really, I feel like the FBI should just bring you on board. Like, your bank robberies inside and out by now. I mean, almost to the point, I hate to say this on, out loud, but if they've got an unsolved case, they got to look at you because they know that you've become an expert.
True enough. But as you said, surveillance today, all of that kind of stuff, like I can't go into, Chase Bank with a little joker and think I'm going to install it somewhere.
I'm paranoid when I go to the gas station. I put my credit card in there because somebody told me that people put little devices in there that are like the little joker that kind of like, I don't know what the device is, but
I think it's just called carbon paper. But I think the other thing is that, so there's all this sophisticated stuff, but I think the equivalent today, because again, if you think of George as this, obviously very smart person who decided to put all of his energy into this sort of mode of doing business, that is probably occurring today, but in the cyber world. Like there are people doing ridiculously nefarious things, and maybe you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be the person sitting across from us. George was having dinner with all these fancy people, and then he was robbing their banks without them knowing, and then having dinner with them the next day. It's pretty crazy.
Can you get a sense of his personality? Was he like a little bit of a psychopath or sociopath?
No, they said he was actually very charming, very well educated. So he was able to converse with all different types of people. And you would have never in a million years known. He was very congenial.
And this dream of his goes way back. I mean, when he says it in Cincinnati, he's like easy money. He's already thinking about.
Well, easy path, right? Like, so maybe he was the one that wanted his dad to get him out of going to war. Like maybe he just was all about the easiest way, of living.
No, but it's not just that, because he's very meticulous and it's also, I think he's interested in the perfect crime aspect. Like, how can I plan this out so perfectly?
Absolutely.
I can get away with it.
Again, like the sets that he created were like, he was incredibly meticulous. When you read about like the detail, the same, decorative elements on the tables, because if you bumped into him, he wanted to know what it would sound like. He just had every detail covered.
Did the members of the gang that eventually got prosecuted for the big job, did they do serious time? Were they in prison for years and years and years, or who knows?
Unclear.
George Leslie,
do you want to tease episode 11? We're turning it up to 11.
I do. We talked about you becoming a little bit of an expert on a certain type of crime. And earlier this season, we talked about another type of crime that we looked into the origins of the school shooting.
Yes, Brenda Spencer. Yeah.
Next week, there will be one particular crime, but I do want to look at a type of crime that seems to have emerged and is unsettling, but it'll be interesting to learn about.
Tantalizing, scary in a good way, very exciting. So that's it for today's episode 10 of Killer Means Awesome, Season 4, the true crime season. Dr. Troy, we will see you on the next episode.
Fantastic.
Brainstorm.
Well, that ought to do it. Think you used enough dynamite there, Bush?